It seems like the Toronto Raptors have created an additional roster spot by waiving Bruno Fernando. It was being reported by Michael Grange last night that official announcement forthcoming, but it appears that the Raptors have indeed waived Bruno Fernando, whose contract would have guaranteed Tuesday. Again, that's today. Expectation is the Raptors will keep a roster spot open and use it on 10 days in the short term. And Michael Grange did confirm this morning that the Raptors have officially waive Bruno Fernando. So, what options do the Raptors have with some of their roster spots open? As Michael Grange did mention, you could sign 10-day contracts, but I'm going to be taking a look at some other options, which could be quite intriguing for the Raptors. So, if you're ready to watch, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I mean, if you want to hit the like button as well, that'd be very much appreciated. So, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to Solstice99. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. So now that the Toronto Raptors have a roster spot open, the easiest suggestion, of course, would be to sign 10-day contracts, see what's out there, and maybe you find a fit, particularly for a team like the Toronto Raptors that don't have a lot of defense. Maybe you go and look for some defense in the G League. Maybe there's free agents out there playing in Europe that could be intriguing, and maybe you want to sign them. But let's take a look at some of the other options that could be intriguing for the Raptors. Now, specifically talking about a player like Bruce Brown. I wasn't too happy with the Raptors when they weren't able to find a trading partner for Bruce Brown last season, especially given the circumstances around his knee injury and the fact that he hasn't even played up until recently with the Toronto Raptors. But now all of that has changed, particularly with the Jimmy Butler situation. When you talk about Jimmy Butler, he makes about $48 million and he wants to go to a Suns team, but the Miami Heat have also stated that they do not want to take a lot of money back. They would actually prefer expiring contracts. Similarly to when you look at a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, and essentially what they did with the Clippers, it seems like a lot of teams kind of want to model that because given the new CBA rules and how difficult it is to make player trades and just move players around with larger salaries, I think it's very important to have that luxury of having cap space going into the offseason. So that's what the Miami Heat essentially want to do, but the only player that the Phoenix Suns can give him is Bradley Beal. Now, how does this help the Toronto Raptors? You may ask. Of course, the Phoenix Suns would have to move off of Bradley Beal's contract. And no, I'm not suggesting that the Toronto Raptors absorb his contract. But even the Jimmy Butler situation aside, you look at teams like the Chicago Bulls, particularly with Zach LaVine. You look at teams like the New Orleans Pelicans, Brandon Ingram there. A lot of teams will be looking to trade big contracts, and they need a third team involved to initiate salary. And this is where the Raptors come in with Bruce Brown's contract of $22-23 million expiring. Keep in mind, it's an expiring contract, which really helps teams like Miami Heat. They don't want to take on long-term money, but they also wish to trade Jimmy Butler. And this is where the Raptors can come in, really help with salary situation. I mean, Miami Heat aren't exactly, taking on long-term money with Bruce Brown. He'd be an expiring contract. So whatever team besides the Phoenix Suns, Miami trades with, particularly the Raptors, could be a huge, huge help in that department. And look, it's a luxury to have a lot of cap space. And I think the Raptors do. I don't know if the Raptors decided this during the offseason when they picked up his option or whatever the case was, but coincidentally, it just has seemed to work out a lot in the Raptors' favor. And as we approach the trade deadline, it'll be very helpful for a lot of teams to take on expiring contracts. And Bruce Brown isn't the only guy the Raptors have who have expiring contracts. You also look at Chris Boucher as well. His contract isn't as large as Bruce Brown's, but then you can help initiate trades as well. And more than ever, what this really helps the Toronto Raptors do is they can trade Bruce Brown, but also take another player, couple players back in return as well, which really helps that open roster spot. So the likelihood that Raptors keep this roster spot open, again, they could sign 10-day contracts, but those are only for 10 days. What they could do with this is essentially take back two players while moving Bruce Brown's contract. And of course, if you are the third team helping teams, get Jimmy Butler, Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram, whoever the case may be, you're definitely going to be compensated for that as well. And the Raptors positioned themselves quite well. And also, like it was stated, Bruno Fernando's contract was going to become guaranteed today. So again, the Raptors don't necessarily want to keep that contract. It was only $2 million, but he wasn't exactly in the rotation. And again, considering what the Raptors are trying to do offensively and defensively, he didn't really fit the scheme again. So best of luck to Bruno. I'm sure he'll find work out there in Europe, and best of luck to him. But in terms of some of the other options, let's talk about that as well. Another option the Toronto Raptors have is actually trying to acquire decent players as well. So aside from the fact that you could become a third team involved, the Raptors do have a lot of draft capital. They also have expiring contracts as well, and perhaps they make a trade. Again, we could talk about Bruce Brown. We can talk about Chris Boucher as well. Perhaps the Raptors decide to throw in a couple second round picks and acquire a defensive center, given how poorly the Raptors have been defensively, but also just a young center, considering the Raptors don't really have center in their developmental. You can say Ulrich Chomche, but he's a few years away from playing. So again, they could definitely look to acquire a center, even a small forward wouldn't hurt them either. Again, so maybe the Raptors look to do a 1-for-2 deal where they take two players back and see how that goes. So that could certainly be an option for the Toronto Raptors as well. Another option, again, the likelihood that this one happens, I would say, is very small, considering, Jamison Battle is a two-way player, but he's also a rookie as well. Is the Raptors convert one of the two-way guys into a guaranteed contract? Again, I'm looking at Jamison Battle because he can only play a limited games as a two-way guy. He's already played a decent amount, and he can only play so much. And considering that, the Raptors still have a decent amount of games left this season, they definitely want to develop someone like Jamison Battle. So could they look to convert him as the season goes along? Very likely, especially towards the end of the season for a tanking team like the Toronto Raptors. You definitely want to give the young guys more playing time, definitely more opportunity to develop as well. But if Jamison Battle plays all the games that he can on a two-way contract, then it doesn't leave a lot of room for him to grow and particularly play minutes in the NBA as well. So that could certainly be an option for the Toronto Raptors as well. But there's no doubt that the Raptors have created an abundance of opportunities, whether that's through trade, whether that's through signing someone via free agency, a 10-day contract, or even converting their own two-way players into a guaranteed contract as well. So what do you think the Raptors should do? Do you think the Raptors should keep this spot open at least closer to the trade deadline? Again, just considering how much player movements happen. And again, just in case you do end up being a third team involved, or if you're moving a Bruce Brown contract, it's very likely you'll have to take two players back in return for his large money as well. What do you think of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And the trivia question is, which of these players were not involved in trades made by the Raptors during last season? Is it A, Dennis Schroeder? Is it B, Pascal Siakam? Is it C, Otto Porter? Or is it D, Jalen McDaniels? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.